Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of your OGR, as today is game 45 as the Montreal Canadiens went up against the Edmonton Oilers, and the Canadiens walked away with a 4-3 victory. It should have been 4-1 to be completely honest with you, but somehow the Canadiens let us almost walk right back in with the final seconds of the third period there. Honestly, my first thoughts on this game is I don't know what to say. You know, the Oilers didn't play very well, but for the first line, McDavid was the only real guy that was going. Draisaitl seemed, I don't know, stuck in a slump right now. Nuge seemed a little rusty. Just our entire lineup, you know, just really didn't play very well. Montreal was hot on the gun. They were speedy. They were better. And they were more chippiness. And we've seen that in this game, you know. I will purely say that the refs are definitely in their hands. And there was a lot of missed calls that should have been called. And the Leon Draisaitl interference, I don't know how the hell that's interference. We're going to be getting into all that in today's episode, because I am very angry, and I'm not going to try to get angry at all this crap, because, I don't know, I got tons of stuff that I got to do today, and I really don't want to yell at fucking refs today, because they frustrated me last night, and if you want to go check out the stream, you guys could go and see my many rants on the ref. You're probably going to see another one here tonight, where I complain about refs, because, you know, that's how I do things. I complain about refs a lot. I'm personally a ref myself, or I used to ref. So I have, you know, a lot of expertise when it comes to reffing. Now, I didn't ref no NHL hockey. No, I refed, you know, midget tier hockey and bantam tier hockey. I didn't really, you know, ref any of the big time hockey, but I know how to ref a game, and I know how to stop it from being like this, and just from being a goddamn gong show like it was tonight. So before I get into that, I'd like to just say thank you guys. We just hit officially 500 subscribers, and I'd like to just say thank you all for who jumped into the live stream last night from Hot Take Hockey's raid. Absolutely appreciated, bro. That was absolutely awesome. It made my absolute day, even though the Montreal Canadiens were whooping the Oilers' ass. It made my absolute day to see that amount of people in my stream and amount of new subscribers. So if you are new, welcome to the channel. I make OGRs like this after each and every Edmonton Oilers game, and I also make some NHL 21 content as well. So let's get into talking about today's episode here with the Montreal Canadiens. Now let's, I guess, review the game first before I get into a rant about the refs, because next thing you know it, we'll be 10 minutes deep and I haven't even reviewed the game yet. We'll get to the first goal. Luckinen gets the first goal of the game for the Montreal Canadiens, which is not what I really wanted to start off with. The Montreal Canadiens were absolutely dominating us in the first period. 13 forward for shots. In that first one, they were dominating. Anderson was looking great there for the Canadiens, who got 2 big goals for them throughout the night. They were playing a physical game. Right off the get-go, Chason also going to a fight as well, which wasn't really a scrap. It was like, I think there was one punch thrown, and then half the time they were just like, you know, jostling with each other. Not a lot of fighting going throughout that fight, but, you know, it was good to see that physicality already starting off. And I mean, these two teams really don't like each other right now, between the Canadiens and the Oilers, and it really does seem like that. But Luckinen gets a nice goal. He went forehand, backhand there on Mike Smith. Got a really nice one on him. This was also one of the nights that I felt like Mike Smith looked a little off. It definitely wasn't himself, which, you know, is kind of a bummer. Usually you're seeing Mike Smith play his best hockey, but tonight he really just was not on top of his game, and it felt like, you know, he was landing a lot more loose ones than he should have been, and he should have been, you know, better, you know, I guess awareness in his net, because he was out of the net when Tatar, one of the goals, like I think it was the second Anderson goal, where practically Tatar, you know, scrapes his leg there, kind of pulls him outside of his crease even a little bit more, but Smith was already outside of his crease to make the save against Tatar, and then he had to make another one against Anderson, but Anderson was able to capitalize on him being out of his position. Anyways, the second period, Connor McDavid gets his 25th of the season. This was an absolute magnificent one. This is where I thought, you know, the tides were going to turn a little bit for us. McDavid went on a breakaway. He got a nice goal there on Jake Allen. Absolutely broke Allen's ankles. And I was like, okay, boys. All right. So this is a little bit of a start. This is, you know, jump starting us again. And then Josh Anderson with an absolute dash gets the game winning, not game winning goal. What am I talking about? The the game-breaking goal, practically. I can't remember the word. I'm just not finding it in my vocabulary list right now. But the goal that broke the tie, practically. There we go. I found it. Josh Anderson got his 16th of the season there with a nice goal. It was a nice dash from the side, caught Larson off guard. And this was the biggest thing that I noticed all night was that the defense, I don't know, they just... For the Oilers, at least, they didn't feel like they were on top of their game most of the night, you know? They weren't on top of the ball. They weren't, you know, jumping on it. They just were kind of, I don't know, watching it. And, yeah, they just looked a little flat-footed, especially Larson on that play. He really looked flat-footed, and that's why that went up into the back of the net, because he looked flat-footed, and it showed in that play where Josh Anderson got a very nice goal. And then in the third period, Tyler Toffoli got a power play. And this is where I got to complain. Why was the Leon Draisaitl penalty a fucking interference call when Edmondson just touched the puck when I'm seeing trips, constant slashes, constant everything on McDavid and Draisaitl, but they get called for stupid penalties like this? It makes no sense to me at all. And NHL, you need to clean this up because I don't want to rant about it anymore. I don't want to watch this type of goddamn hockey where I'm seeing these players getting hooked and slashed and McDavid's legit getting tripped and smashing his head against the ice. I don't want to see that type of crap out there, man. That's a joke, NHL. It's a goddamn joke when these refs are practically just calling calls to even up the playing field. Both teams had 4 power plays throughout the entire game, and it seemed every time one team took a penalty, it was an even and out penalty on the other side. It was an absolute joke of a game officiating-wise. It was brutal to watch, and that was the only thing I was able to focus on the entire game, was how brutal, because every time I was analyzing some player, there was some interference, there was some hook, there was some trip that was an absolute abomination. And I said that in the last episode where these refs got to start the game off hot. They got to start calling the calls immediately instead of just letting shit go. Because and then you're seeing shit like where McDavid's hauling over players. I seen one analyst, hang on, let me pull it up. Anyways, an analyst named Andrew Berkshire said this on Twitter. He said, I get the frustration from McDavid, but he's running around, hitting guys high and away from the puck constantly. Needs a timeout. Went after Byron twice. Petrie from behind on the last shift, 40 feet from the puck. Well, I gotta say this to you, which a lot of people were hammering Berkshire on this because it's absolutely stupid when I see so many infractions that it's absolutely ridiculous. He goes like this: since Oilers fans are already upset, the narrative I keep seeing is that McDavid was held back by infractions, and that's why they lost. If they were true, the Oilers wouldn't have controlled 55.65% of the goals with McD on the ice and 14.4 without. The issue is the rest of the roster. Which, without a doubt, dude, I agree. You know, the rest of our roster definitely needs to start stepping up a little bit more. But when you look at the rest of the roster, when you see Draisaitl getting absolutely hammered by Shea Weber with these vicious goddamn cross-checks and nothing is being called out there, that is a joke, Berkshire. I don't care who you are as a fan. The missing calls were an absolute abomination last night. And I'm not saying, you know, the refs were the faulty on the Oilers' loss. No, the Oilers shot themselves in the foot. A lot of these goals could have been, you know, good defensive plays. Luckinen was left wide open. Josh Anderson was just able to pass right by Larson and everyone else. There was a lot of goals that I seen that we could have been able to defend. Even the Tyler Toffoli one. If Josh Archibald wasn't being such a goddamn idiot and shot his, gave a shot to Mike Smith practically, he shot it on his own fucking net. So, you know, I'm not blaming the Montreal Canadiens for doing this type of shit because the refs were calling jack shit. But you can't say going after McDavid and saying, you know, doing these late hits because they were doing the exact same fucking thing the last game. Corey Perry was going after his knee and same with Deneau. You don't know anything because you watch these games. You watched that game entirely? Did you? I don't think you did because the amount of infractions that I seen, I could have called like 20 damn penalties all game long. And I'm not saying let's call 20 penalties all game long because I don't want to see that. But at least call the important ones, the ones that are dangerous. Because I seen a lot of dangerous calls last night that weren't called at all. And it's aggravating to see that. I would like to see, you know, a little bit of player safety out there a little bit, all right? That's all I'm asking for. And not these buffoon calls where Draisaitl hits Edmonton and there's an interference penalty. Then maybe call the one that you're missing on McDavid, right? Call him out. Call out the Montreal Canadiens. Give them penalties when you see late hits. Because I seen a lot of that last night, man. It wasn't just McDavid. So I'm just going to leave it at that. If you guys disagree with me in the comment section below, I don't give a fuck. Because honestly, that game, reffing-wise, was an abomination. And I hope these refs get a talking to, because that was an absolute joke. And if I see that in the playoffs, I will legit break my goddamn monitor, because what I seen last night was an absolute joke, and I hope not to see that again. Anyways, the Tyler Toffoli goal, I don't know what the fuck Archibald was doing. I don't know why he shot it on his own net. Practically gifted a goal to Tyler Toffoli. And then you guys know the Anderson one. I was already talking about that one. And then somehow, some miracle, Nuge gets one, his 13th of the season on the power play, marching his way back into the game, which was pretty nice to see. You know, we're kind of marching back in. People in the chat were like, oh yeah, we're going to make a comeback. And then Puljujärvi got a tip in front of the net with his 12th of the season. Nice shot there from McDavid too from the point, but it was a beautiful tip there by Puljujärvi in front of the net to tip that one right into the back of the net. Now we're only one goal away, but you know, then kind of I think it was like an offside, but I don't know what happened. McDavid kind of went off because he knew it was offside, but then it wasn't offside, so another player went in. Oh, it was complicated. It wasted a good 20 minutes, and after that, I was just like, yeah, it's done. We messed up that little play there. The Montreal Canadiens will probably burn out the rest of the time, and it'll be a done deal. But good game on the Montreal Canadiens. They really did play a good game. No matter what I said about, you know, the fucking refs and Eric Furlad and Kendrick Nicholson, they were absolutely an abomination last night. Besides from the ref, the Montreal Canadiens played their greasy game, and that's what you got to do when you're a team like the Montreal Canadiens, right? They shut down McDavid. They shut down McDavid for most of the game, and they did that as well for Leon Draisaitl. So, I mean, I give tips to the Montreal Canadiens for the way that they played. I don't like, you know, the refs, the way that they didn't call a lot of the calls that should have been called. I didn't like how they set the tone of the game, because they set it horribly, and it ended up being a very poorly officiated match. Because I said in the last video, if you don't set the tone right off the get-go, these guys are just going to do whatever they want. And you started seeing that throughout the game. And I think the others started learning that as well, because I remember seeing McDavid practically all over Denault, just pulling on him, practically just picking apart on him. And I'm like, there should be a penalty on this call, but there was no penalty on it for McDavid. And that's just, you know, the way that it was going last night. And you weren't seeing any of those plays being called, which was really weird. But I think that's all I got to say on this game. GG. I'm not going to really talk about any of the Oilers, because no Oilers really played good, but for McDavid and Puljujärvi and Archibald as well. Archibald didn't do too bad, but for that one fuck up he made on Toffoli. But honestly, it wasn't a bad game. I'm not going to be too fazed by it. I'm really excited to see Dmitry Kulikov in the lineup on Monday against the Winnipeg Jets. Now, I will be moving that week. So I will be pretty busy. I don't know when I'm going to be able to upload OGRs or anything like that. I will try to make a quick one on the Winnipeg Jets game, and then I should be back home on like the Wednesday, so I should be able to get back home to watch the next Winnipeg Jets game. But we'll have to kind of see how everything goes this week. I will be posting updates on my Twitter. The link will be down in the description below. But for right now, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigos.